For the first time in 9 meetings, 9 contests, the Minnesota Wild have beaten the Winnipeg Jets. We got a good chance to see the difference between Connor Hellebuyck and Eric Comrie as the Wild get a couple of goals that they need, and they pick up a 3-0 win over the Winnipeg Jets. A nice win to cap a great weekend, honestly. The game on Friday, the game today. Really not anything to pull that was not a positive. I mean, no goals allowed. Wild score 8 in the 2 games. You get scoring from up and down the lineup. Penalty kill has been trending in the right direction. Another goalie shutout. Matt Zuccarello trying to go toe-to-toe with Logan Stanley. A lot of good in today's game, to say the least. So we're going to dive into some of the numbers, and yes, the return of Nico Sturm to the lineup. We're going to dive into some of the numbers here, and more importantly, just nice to have a win to enjoy on a Sunday. Minnesota Wild blank the Jets 3-0, and our postcast tonight starts right now.
You are Locked On Wild Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Minnesota Wild pick up a 3-0 win over the Winnipeg Jets. The Wild are now 9-1-1 in their last 11 games. They're 7-0-1 in their last 8 games. And for a team that looked dead in the water in the month of October, November has been a welcome change to what we have seen over the last several games. So the Wild now 12-7-4 in the season, or as we like to say, 12-11. But the Wild are playing very well on this stretch of games that they have played recently. Great work defensively. We're seeing scoring up and down the lineup. We have started to see some shorthanded goals even for the Minnesota Wild, and these have all led to just a nice stretch of hockey that has the Wild now entrenched in the 3rd spot in the Central. They have a 3-point lead over the Utah Mammoth, a 4-point lead over the Winnipeg Jets. Both of those teams do have games in hand, but honestly, like let's just go to the crowd. What have been some of the most surprising parts of this stretch of games for the Wild? 9-1-1. What has stood out to you most about this stretch of play for the Minnesota Wild? We'll give people a chance to get their responses into that question. I will start with beloved Hoptics. Surely there's some things we can find to be critical of. No. I mean, what can a person point to in back-to-back shutouts and a stretch of play 9-1-1? Like, if you would like to dive into the numbers have been great over the course of this stretch. If we go back to October 31st, so flip the calendar from October to November, the Minnesota Wilds are now 9-1-1. They have still allowed just 17 goals in 11 games in the month of November. So the defense has absolutely been turning teams away. They have been pushing teams out on the perimeter, and that has led to making life very, very calm for the goalies. It's a whole cycle. When the offense pushes a little bit more, that's less pressure on the defense. When the defense is able to keep things to the perimeter as much as the Wild have, that makes life much easier for the goalies. And it's not like the goalies haven't, it's not like the goalies haven't made key saves themselves, because they have. It's just, I think the biggest switch was the defense has really found their footing. Also helps to be playing with a lead. The Wild have scored first in 12 straight games, and they just are a different team when they have the lead. When they are able to kind of wear teams down and push, they're a much better team. So they have done a good job. Something that I pointed to 3 weeks ago. They were on a run of play where they had not scored first. It can be a trivial thing, but it's amazing how much difference there is when you score first as opposed to when you give up the first goal of the game. I would imagine with tonight's performance on the penalty kill, NHL has not updated statistics as of yet, but I would imagine that the Minnesota Wild's penalty kill in November will be at 90%. If we think back, when was the last time the Minnesota Wild had a penalty kill even above 80% for a month, let alone 90? And the Wild they're not taking penalties. They're not being called for penalties, which is something that has been a nice, pleasant surprise over the last few years. They're not being called for penalties, and even when they are, they're able to now kill them off. And it seems like everything is clicking at the right time, and that's why this team not only is playing well, but it looks like they're having fun out there, which is a big thing. So great win today. It's a Winnipeg team, and I think we saw the difference. I think we saw the difference between Connor Hellebuyck and Eric Comrie tonight. Like there was probably one of those goals that Comrie would like to have back, but the Faber goal, shorthanded, where he was trailing on the rush and he let it fly, I thought that was great. Kirill's goal was nasty, but it's just Connor Hellebuyck. Based on what we have seen over the course of his career, he probably makes at least one or two of those saves. So this is going to be a dicey stretch for the Winnipeg Jets, to say the least. With Hellebuyck out for, I think it was 4 to 6 weeks. That could cause them some problems. Let's take a look at the numbers from tonight's game here. So shots on goal, pretty even. Neither team had any success on the power play. The Wild, though, tremendous on the penalty kill at 4-4 with a shorthanded goal. Jets won the faceoff circle 28-21. Wild had more hits, 28-19, and the Wild had more blocks, 18-11. The goals from Danila Yurov, his third. Nice play right down in front of the net. Brock Faber with his fifth of the season. We'll talk more about Brock Faber here in a second. And then Kirill Kaprizov to finish it off with his 13th. But we really got to talk about these goalies. I mean, it doesn't matter who's in net. Jesper tonight, Philip Gustafsson on Friday night. It seems like both goalies are really on the top of their game right now. And I know Gustafsson's numbers are not where we would like them to be, but he always has been somebody that maybe has one or two clunkers in the first few starts of the season. But it seems like he has kind of shook that off, and he's killing it just like Jesper is. I've seen some questions asked about, what is it going to take for Jesper to get into the Calder situation? It just depends on the number of starts that he gets. So it's just going to depend on the split. If he gets enough games, if he plays 30, 40 games, he could very easily challenge for that Calder race. It's just you have to play in a percentage of games compared to the entire regular season. Like I think if he makes 30, 35 starts, he should definitely be in the conversation. But the thing that is most impressive, I think, about Jesper is that even on the nights where the Wild have lost, even the 2 games that they've lost, they've managed to get it to overtime. So in the 8 starts that Jesper has made this year, the Wild have points in every single one of them. I think that that Carolina game, like that Carolina looked like they were going to come back and win that game, if not for some just crazy Jesper saves. Getting that game into overtime after the Wild they just needed to regroup. Was a great start for Jesper, and pretty much all of his starts have been. In fact, I don't think he has maybe had one in which he has given up over 3 goals. I think that's it. Yeah, he's had the one start. He's had the one start this year against San Jose where he gave up 6. Other than that, it's been 3 goals and 3 goals or fewer. And he has allowed goals in 5 starts. He has shutouts in the other 3. So just playing spectacularly well. He is so sound and set when he is in the net. Reminds me a lot of Jake Ottinger, as I have previously mentioned. It just looks like he really has put last year behind him and is just playing with full confidence right now. So the goaltending's been fantastic. The defense, the pairings have really done their job. Danila Yurov has looked right at home in the top 6. Just, a lot to like about this current stretch that the Minnesota Wild are playing. And it's no coincidence that they have pulled themselves back into playoff positioning with this stretch. And honestly, so let's talk about this for a second. The old adage, if you are in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving, you typically stay there. So the Minnesota Wild with 28 points right now, they are in the 3rd spot in the Central. As mentioned, they got a 3-point lead over the Mammoth and a 4-point lead over the Winnipeg Jets. I want to just see what the schedule is like pre-Thanksgiving. So the Mammoth do not play. The Jets also do not play tomorrow. They don't play Tuesday. And they both they both play, in addition to the Minnesota Wild, they all play on Wednesday. So the Minnesota Wild will, or actually Utah plays tomorrow. They play Vegas. I missed them on the Monday slate. Basically, what I was trying to do is look and see, is there a way that the Wild fall out of the playoff picture by Thanksgiving? And it does not look like there is a way that they can. So even with the slow start, the Minnesota Wild have checked that box and put themselves, at least as far as my math goes, and that's not a safe bet, they put themselves in position to be in a playoff spot. So bravo, as Amanda says here, going from number 25 in the league as far as points go to number 5 in 30 days. That's impressive. It's a credit to, as we in the media tend to do, because we cover the team, kind of pull maybe a little bit too much out of particular stretches. But that's, I have always been willing to have my mind changed by good stretches of play, and the Wild are absolutely in one. So all those questions that were being asked at the beginning of the season, how hot are seats? Are we getting to the point where we're going to need to make changes? Like, this is why sports are good. This is why we watch sports, is you can turn things around. And the Minnesota Wild absolutely have done that. And Hines is pushing he's pushing all of the right buttons right now. So it sets up some exciting games this week that will be dandy matchups. I know Chicago is further down in the standings, but they are off to a surprise start based on what they have previously done. And then you go up against the big kahuna on Friday. The big kahuna for all the marbles, the Colorado Avalanche. The one loss in regulation, Colorado Avalanche. And a team that's above you in the Central Division. So it's fun. It's exciting to be back in this realm and back in this mode and getting amped up to see if this team is capable of going toe-to-toe against the best in the Central. And nice to beat Winnipeg for the first time in 9 games. That's a stretch I'm glad I will never have to reference again, because it's a regulation win against Winnipeg. You can't take anything away from it. I know Hellebuck didn't play, but as we saw in the early part of that game, that Winnipeg lineup is no joke. They pushed, but credit to the Wild, they pushed back. The Wild pushed back, and they got the win on the road against the Jets, which was a great part of our Sunday here. Tell you what, we have I've got some comments starred that I wanted to get to here after the break. Just wanted to go through some of the good that we saw here over this last stretch, over today's game. But I do have some comments that I wanted to roll through starred and ready. So we'll do that after the break. Minnesota Wild pick up a 3-0 shutout win over the Winnipeg Jets. We've got more postcast on the way right here on Locked On Wild. Today's postcast is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. My favorite Game Time feature is the panoramic seat views. You'll be able to see exactly your viewpoint from every angle before you even pick your seat. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Tonight's postcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to our postcast here tonight. The Minnesota Wild pick up a 3-0 win over the Winnipeg Jets. to now improve to 12-7-4 on the season, and solidly in the third spot as far as the standings go. So let's start with, I'm going to start with this one from Eric, more of a comment. Then I'll get into some of the others. Even though Hellebuyck was out of the lineup for the Jets, it was great to see the Wild get points against a good team, and when we needed the points to pad on a few. These are both great points. The Wild got the early lead. They added to it. They added to it again. They kept being opportunistic as far as the goals go, and anytime Winnipeg would try to get something going, the Wild just stifled them. And even with Hellebuyck out, Eric Comrie is still a serviceable goalie. It's just, I think, and I don't want to say any particular goal that the Wild scored, but I feel like Connor Hellebuyck maybe gets one of those back, saves one of those three. So it's maybe a tighter margin, but I still feel like with the way Jesper played, I don't think even a good Hellebuyck performance would have prevented the Wild from winning that game. So let's dive into some of the other comments from the course of the game. Big Ticket starts it with, when Rossi's back, do you leave Yurov at the 1C? This is a good question, because I feel like what you could do, I feel like you could go Yurov at 1, Rossi 2, Ek 3. You could go that route. But as we've seen with Hines, he tends to, we saw Nico Sturm got a face-off in a situation in which Kaprizov and Zuccarello were out on the ice. So there's still going to be a level of mixing and matching. I would be shocked if it's not Rossi Ek, but I think Yurov definitely deserves to be one of those top centers off the fourth line. And I think with Sturm back, I think you'll see Yurov be at least the 3. It just depends. Just depends on the order they feel comfortable with when Rossi's back. But I could certainly see Yurov. Ladies and gentlemen, Denny Barlow has made his way to the comments section, so let's all say hello. Welcome Denny in. And Denny, we'll get your thoughts on the win before we move on to other comments. Well, I'll circle back. Once Denny has his comments. We'll make sure to highlight those. Matthew says, I want to see a game when they're scored on first. The key to the current Wild system is to score first, then play low risk, high end defense plus high end goaltending, and it's working. Yeah, it's not. They're not going to go the rest of the season scoring first. Like, at some point, there is going to be some level of adversity that they have to face. So it'll be a very good test to see kind of where they're at. But it's nice at this point that they have been able to just go on a nice little roll. Let's correct myself, noted idiot. There's no official minimum amount of games to be eligible for the Calder. Thank you for that correction. So as long as Jesper plays well, he should be in the conversation. Never getting scored on again. We do need to give Denny full credit. He 100% called the shutout. Just another in a long list of calls that Denny has made on his tenure. He's been right about pretty much everything the entire way, and it continues. We should give Yakov Trenyan a little love. I think he has certainly played. He's certainly played well here over this stretch, and I think I saw in X a couple people saying it's been about a month long stretch. He had another assist tonight, and it feels like that Sturm, Trenyan, Foligno line. It feels like they got a nice continuity and a nice sauce that they can roll out there. I like that as a fourth line right now. That's your third line because of some injuries. But once Hartman comes back, once Rossi comes back, we'll see that go back to the fourth line. And I think then that I think, because as we have discussed, having actual NHL players on that line, that's going to make a big difference. So that's been nice to see. And yes, Trenyan has been playing very well. Can we talk about how Jesper the Great Wallstedt is currently the best goalie in the NHL? The confidence is off the charts. Just the structure that he plays in. You don't ever see him get pulled out of position. Like, he just has a good base. He just has a good base. He's got a good foundation. And I think that just makes him that much harder to score on, because you really have to get him to commit early. And with as confident that he's playing right now, that's just not something you see. You just don't see him get pulled out of position hardly at all. And until that happens, I mean, it's not going to be a shutout every night, but there's nothing to suggest that Jesper can't continue to play like this. I think he definitely can, because I think, and I think the team giving him these types of games, like tough starts, I think is going to only help that confidence continue. Let's go to Bill. I think Johansson had the fire lit under him after a pay per performance contract at league minimum. Yeah, he's on a 1-year deal. I'm sure he is also trying to be noticed for the Olympics. He's just I am very pleasantly surprised by what we've seen, but it's something that I need to continue to see it. I am just concerned that at some point it's going to kind of run out. Apologies. Nice that I have my own mute button now. That's a nice feature, because throat has been a little scratchy today. How did Sturm look? I thought Nico, he played 13 minutes tonight. 3 out of 7 in the faceoff circle. He had 3 hits. I think he looked. I think it was a nice debut for Sturm. But you just got to stack performances together. I think he played just fine. And after what we have seen from Ben Jones, had 1 shot on goal tonight and 2 hits in 7 minutes, 44 seconds. He'll be the moment that Hartman or Rossi come back, he'll be straight down to Iowa. And we'll see if we see him the rest of the way. But I thought Sturm looked fine tonight. Who will Billy go after at the trade deadline? Well, I still think, because of my concern on the my concern at Johansson's play extending for a full season, I would still look for a top 6 upgrade. And I think you could certainly find one of those at the trade deadline. But a couple of things to consider on the trade front. Number one, there will be other teams that will be in the running for different things. And it just comes down to cost. What are you comfortable paying for a player to get at the deadline? I think right here, right-handed top six. I think that is it at this point. I think that's the need. Defense is rounded into form. Maybe a back end. Maybe a back end guy for the blue line just as insurance, but I don't know. Other than that, it's hard to really point at anything that they're doing right now as a weakness. Once all the centers are healthy, I bet Yurov gets scratched. Thoughts on that? I mean, I would hope that if you look at what Danila Yurov has done compared to what Vladimir Tarasenko has done so far this year, and before I even see a comment in there, I know there's the one portion of the Vladimir Tarasenko fan club that's in the comments here. I look at the numbers. I mean, it's been statistically charted out that Tarasenko slows every line down that he's on. Just it's not like that's not an opinion. That's a fact. That's a statement of fact. And so I would hope that Yurov would win out in that case, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Who should play? Great question by Denny here. Who should play against Colorado, Jesper or Gus? I think considering the rotation that the Wild are on, I think Jesper slots in based on the order. I would think Philip Gustafsson will start against Chicago. So I think people will get what they're hoping for. And again, I'll say like you're going to need both guys. Like we're not in a situation where it's they're both Jesper is playing well, give him 65 starts and trade Philip Gustafsson. Like that's not a position that should be on anybody's radar at this point. You're going to need both because as well as Jesper has played right now, there are going to be some stretches where there are just going to be, whether it be those leaky goals, there are going to be some stretches where the numbers aren't as good. And the Wild will need Philip Gustafsson to be able to kind of take a little pressure off of him. So you are going to need both guys the rest of the way. Britt's right on. I think it's closer to 1A, 1B as opposed to true starter and backup. I think this team is comfortable with one or the other for long stretches, which is a huge sigh of relief considering what we were kind of uncertain about coming into the season. Having both playing well is great. What do we think about Nazem Kadri? That's one that comes down to money at this point. You know, how much of that deal do you get Calgary to pick up? Kadri would come in and he would be at minimum probably a 2C. So, you know, I don't know. I always I've been a big fan of Kadri as a player. I just think that from a contract perspective and a couple of other things, I would just say no. I would lean no on Kadri unless you were absolutely convinced that he would work as a piece going forward. But that's just me. I mean, that certainly could be a route that they look to. I think center is definitely going to be I think that's definitely going to be a spot that they take a peek at. Moose, Ek, and Trenyan or Hartman would be a good third line. This is true. I'm going to be fascinated to see what they do when Tarasenko is ready to come back. Because I just don't see it. I don't see what he's bringing to the lineup. And I think the way that this team is playing right now, I think you've seen them pick up the speed a little bit. So that would certainly be an option for line 3, but I think what the third line will be is likely Hartman, Yurov, and probably Tarasenko at this point. I really don't know. That might be a call by Heinze that we don't particularly like. Yeah, Hartman, Rossi, Tarasenko. I think that's probably what that will end up being. I feel like Danila has played well enough, especially defensively. Like, don't look at Vladimir Tarasenko's defensive numbers. Avert your eyes. Get all the women and children out of the first 10 rows of left field. It's not great. So that's just one you're going to have to eat. And if somebody gets hurt, then you've got some insurance, but it's not good. Luke's, I like what I saw to Ogren. Heavy on the forecheck, creating some opportunities as well. Yeah, I just don't know. I'm kind of in between as far as Ogren goes. I would like to see him take more opportunities. I would like to see him get more opportunities. But I just at this point, the way the top 6 is playing, there's no spot. Everybody's playing too well to I can't make a case to pull anybody out of those top 6 spots. Ben Jones or Tarasenko. Yikes. Can we play shorthanded instead? Can we just not fill that roster spot? That'd be my vote. And people are advocating for Jones. I honestly can't disagree. Because at least he can take faceoffs. Here's one from Sir Tropic. What has changed from the beginning of the season to now? Well, the goaltending has shored up, but I think more importantly, the defense in front of them has shored up. And it looks like a team that is more connected and cohesive than they were at the start of the season. That start of the season was awful. They got a top 6 that has been solidified so far. They shored it up after a rough go, and there's been a lot of credit to I did see this in that ESPN game the other night that Boldy was playing pseudo bartender. That could very well be it. I think it's just a team that, they point to the closed door meeting, players only meeting, as kind of the time at which the season turns. But if you want to have that be the factor, I guess go right ahead. I just think they finally got the defense shored up, and that has really fed into everything else. I think the defense is the big piece that they got figured out, and the rest has kind of fallen into place after that. How long has it been since we had a legitimate second line? I would say, Denny, 2021, 2022. because the year after that is when they traded for Johansson, like at the deadline, and he came in and he was really good in the back half. But before that, that second line was not great. So I would say 2021, 2022 was the last year that they had a bona fide line 2. I think we are that far out. I think it's been 4 years since we've had one. And that was Fiala. God, who was that? That line that year. I'm gonna have to go back and look. That line was nuts. As good as the first line was, that second line was also good. Folks, I think I'm going to wrap it here. Yeah, it was Freddie. I couldn't remember who the center was. It was Freddie G. Freddie G Money. I think I'm going to wrap it for tonight's postcast. Great win by the Minnesota Wild. Alex and I will take a look back at the weekend, some of the best that we saw. And we have a bunch of episodes coming out for you here this week. We're going to kind of go heavy this week, but there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to kind of dive into and take a peek on, some things I want to catch back up on. So there are going to be plenty of episodes coming up here as we finish out the month of November. But the Minnesota Wild, a solid 3-0 win against the Winnipeg Jets here tonight. The Wild in third place in the Central. Make sure to hit that like button before you head out for the night. And we'll talk plenty more Wilds coming up with our next new episode, which comes your way tomorrow morning right here on Locked On Wild. Again, make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Locked On Wild is you covered every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.